Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have an interesting show, Breakup Stories, which I regularly do. I help people with their breakups. I break down their stories and give them my take. So we got 3 of those on deck. I'll be talking about that. We also have Taiwanese strippers that went to a nursing home. So the headline reads, Taiwanese nursing home apologizes for hiring a stripper to entertain disabled veterans. We'll talk about that.
Lovely.
Yeah. And we'll also talk about the idea that 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. So it's going to be a bit of a variety show today. And the reason for that is, you know, whenever you pop up the screen on YouTube these days, this is the kind of stuff that comes up, right? So
YouTube, social media, yeah.
Right. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just go potpourri here. And let's have a few other stories on deck that are kind of random. And that this is what gets people's eyes these days. It's like some of the stuff that's out there right now. It's like, man, 45% of women will be childless by 2030. It's like all women in the world.
A bit dramatic, but okay. Let's see where this goes. I haven't seen it, so let's see. Let's look.
But at the same time, it's like you really don't know if that's true. That's impossible to calculate if you're talking about the world. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a hypothesis at best. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, but it gets people's attention, right? They're like, oh, yeah.
I'm interested to see if it's just a clickbaity title, you know? And
they'll build a case on it. Everyone's going to build a case. Yeah. We can build a case on it. Yeah. I was just curious about this Taiwanese nursing home apologizes for hiring a stripper to entertain disabled veterans. So let's just lead with that, B.
Jesus, like, let them have some fun. What's going on?
I mean, is it, you know, it's one of those things, you just mentioned it to me before we went on. I was like, let's just take a look at this really quick. I'm just curious because that gets my attention. So Taiwanese nursing home apologizes. Let's see how this comes up. Let me take down the banner here. And I'm just, that's funny, man. I'm sincere in the sense, like, these are the headlines that grab people's attention, right? Yeah. So it says here, a group of veterans in wheelchairs got more than mooncakes from Mid-Autumn Festival after a nursing home in Taiwan enlisted the services of a lingerie-clad stripper to celebrate. Well, she wasn't naked, so it wasn't going too far. The stripper spent 15 minutes dancing for the retired Army personnel who are at the facility dealing with the dementia and other disabilities.
So I'm guessing they're like 70s, 80s, and
right.
Look at, a little fun.
And they're taking pictures.
Yeah.
So why, you know, in the comments, let's just take a 25-year retired vet. I was in the VA home for a while waiting to die. I got to put me in this one, please. Just because they are seniors does not mean they do not still enjoy this sort of thing. It was probably the best thing that could have been done for them. The alternative is dry piano recitals from school students or good local choirs. I think the vets much preferred this. 100%. Let's just see the comments. I have tons of beloved veterans in my family in life, World War II and Nam. This would be a beautiful moment in their declining days. They'd be talking about, laughing about it for years after they were young ones. I hope it gives some of our nursing homes an initiative to do something similar. Thanks, David. The only apologies needed are the old vets and other nursing homes that didn't get similar entertainment.
They're just a little jealous.
I wonder if I can specify in one of those living wills and medical directive things that if I'm ever put in a nursing home, it has to be that one. Look at these. Look at this.
I know.
Yes, the last thing they would want to do is give disabled veterans some joy in their lives. Better to make them understand they are in a nursing home where things will remain solemn. No apology. Cindy chimes in, no apology needed. Nursing homes should be caring what their residents think, not what their families think.
There you go.
Node Zero says, can't disagree with that. Dear Lord, these guys at least deserve some fun. Nobody got hurt. What is the big deal?
I'm saying the same thing. What's the big deal?
I mean, I'm just curious if anyone's looking at this and they're like, oh my goodness, look at the guy.
I think they're trying to like manufacture some outrage. Do you know what I mean? Like it's fun. Come on.
I mean, it's hard to believe, right?
A bit.
So who had a problem with it would be the question, right? Who had the real problem with it? But at the end of the day, if the guys that are in the VA center don't have a problem with it, they're consenting adults.
Yeah.
What an incredible story. Awesome. I bet those vets were really happy.
There you go.
Only question that matters here is, did the vets have a problem with it? Exactly what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, my grandfather was in the wrong nursing home. Thomas, any apartments available? I'm moving my parents to Taiwan. Unbelievable, huh?
Right. That's funny.
What an interesting thing to do. And it's pretty harmless probably for the stripper. I mean, she's not going to get hurt.
You think she's worried going?
No. I mean, it's one of those things, I think that this is probably one of her favorite gigs. And she could probably walk away from it and go, you know what? I did a good thing today.
You know what? I helped some people out.
It's charitable.
It was charitable. I helped some people.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's pretty cool. So, put it in the comments below if you think Taiwanese nursing home has strippers for these elderly men is out of line and it deserves an apology. I'm sure some of the guys could have wheeled out of there if they found it offensive.
Yeah.
They probably could have just said, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and they could have just wheeled themselves out.
How many of them probably were like, hey, when's she coming back?
When's the next date coming?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, enough of that. We got some stories on deck, but I'm just curious, like, what do you guys think of that one?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is big time here. All right, so getting a little more serious, we have 45% of women going child, and this is a thing right now. It's like it's really starting to like bug me, these clickbait things, which I'm just playing with it today by
and we like Chris Williamson too, so
I like Chris Williamson.
Yeah.
I like him, but it got me to click to share this. But right off the bat, it's just not true. There's no way that it's 45% of women are going to be childless. It's not that it's not possible, but there's no way to predict 2030. Nostradamus died a long time ago, and he wasn't accurate on everything. And it's just, studies show. It's like,
and this guy I think that he has on there is going to break like studies down. We'll see.
Come on, man. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but and here's the thing about this kind of news, right? What's the purpose? What's the purpose? Does it make you go, oh my God, all these women, so
I've got to change now or something?
What's the intentional feeling? So for example, right? You look at Taiwanese nursing home and you go, interesting. That's surprising.
Yeah.
It sounds like it probably would be cool for the guys in the nursing home. Let me check this out. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
And there's no harm being done.
Right.
And then you read, reacting to 45% of men will be single, women will be single and childless. Childless is like a dramatic word, right?
Dramatic for sure, yeah.
Childless by 2030, quote unquote. Says who? You, an individual human being, is going to speak for all women's future? Oh my goodness. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I said, what's the intention? Hey, just want to let you know, 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. What's your feelings on that? Just initial, right off the cuff.
I have no idea, what I'm supposed to think. What am I supposed to do with this information? I don't know. Am I supposed to be, try to change my behavior? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, honestly.
I mean, what's the use of it?
I don't know.
Does that make you think and to counter that, you go, well, I've got one. It's like, I know a lot of women that have kids. It's like, all right, let's get into this video real quick. For those that just stepped on, you missed the biggest news piece we just mentioned. Taiwanese nursing home apologizes for inviting strippers for the elderly veterans.
No apology necessary there.
Extremely interesting article. All right, let's get into this one really quick. Because I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
How are you going to spin this? The title says women will be single and childless by 2030. It doesn't say America. So
it says women in general.
Right.
are choosing not to have kids, and as a result are advancing in their careers and using their wealth to buy property and travel more. This is an article by Bloomberg, I think, came out of their Business Week edition. Ashley Marraro isn't married and doesn't have kids, and she has a message for women just like her. You can still have it all. I love my life and feel very fulfilled, says Marraro, who froze her eggs in 2018 to keep her options open. The 43-year-old feels a deep sense of satisfaction from her job as a sales representative for a maker of medical devices, which brings her into contact with patients, and she relishes all of the lifestyle and financial freedoms that come with being a single, child-free woman in a well-paying job. Marraro, who was married for 4 years before getting divorced in 2008, enjoys an enviable degree of financial independence. The West Village resident owns her own apartment, she bought in 2019 for around $900,000 and then renovated. And in June, she closed on a summer home in New Jersey's Long Beach Island with her sister Christina, who's a few years older and also single with no kids. Ashley figures she's taken 10 trips in the last 12 months and often friends with a large group of about 25 people who are largely unmarried.
So this is what everyone does. Here's an example. 45% of the population is doing this, but let me give you one example that's extreme. I'm not saying it's true or not true. It's just triggering, right? So it's like, oh, here's an example of one woman that's financially independent, that's done all these things and doesn't want to have kids, and it supports the fact that 45% of all... Yeah. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, me and you can mention, I don't know, a bunch of women that have had kids, not just 1, 2, or 3, right? It's like, so... Are we going to go example for example? But what they do is, and I like Chris Williamson.
So I think they're breaking down a story, though. I think they're going to react to it, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if that's their viewpoint.
But yeah, you're talking about a worldly, generalized topic with one story.
Right.
Right?
Right. Or one story.
And don't have children. Those trips at 43 sound like they suck. I do not want to go on that trip. Frankly.
Yeah, so everything you just described there is kind of like a symptom of what I would call the wider mating crisis. And it seems to be like a cultural kind of prioritizing of the male default of economic success, the kind of girl boss, lean in kind of culture seems to be set up as what the vision for success for women tends to be. And you have a lot of even corporate giants kind of getting in on this. A few years ago, you had Morgan Stanley, the investment bankers, put out a report that forecasts that 45% of prime working age women between the ages of 25 and 44 will be single and childless by 2030, the largest share in history. And it's not entirely obvious to me that this is in women's best interests. I mean, I'm pretty libertarian in my sensibilities about, freedom of choice, whatever someone wants to do with their life. But it seems to me like you can see the kind of corporate interest in opening up more worker drones for 60-hour work weeks. The workplace now, women are crushing it. It's a brain-based economy rather than a brawn-based economy. So that seems to be in their interests. And it's weird. It's almost like Huxleyan. It's like Brave New World. Have you read that, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very Huxleyan. It's like this kind of hedonistic life of going on lots of trips, having very atomized type of sex. Singlehood will be on the rise. You won't get attached to any one person. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That kind of thing. And it seems a little bit dystopian to me, to kind of, to hurtle towards that dystopian vision. But that's the modern mating crisis we find ourselves in.
All right, here's my issue, okay? I'm not going to debate if this is true or not true. I'm not going to go through all the examples. Worry about yourself.
Right.
Like, what's up with your life, Beef? Or, like, why would I go into general... All women are doing this. Let me just focus on the women I'm dating. Right? Like, what's going on in my life with my friends and family? Like, why do we take up these... And it's like, oh, yeah, all women are doing this. Ha, ha, ha. It's like, yeah, some are. Right? If I want to date and I want to filter for more feminine women that are wanting to have kids in a family, I could certainly find them, because it sounds like 45% aren't on deck, but 55 are.
Yeah, 55, we're good.
Right? So it's like, and they're like, these women are, like, this is bad. This is bad. What's the point of this? Mm-hmm. This is my point right now. There's a lot of this going, and then it's like Morgan Stanley put this out. So is there anyone combating Morgan Stanley's thing? And what's the objective of Morgan Stanley? To make more money? to get more attention.
That's what I'm thinking that Morgan Stanley's doing.
I'm not saying it's not true. It's just like they never mention like how was this report taken, what women were used. It obviously wasn't every woman on the planet. But if it's true or not true, don't let it affect you. Like, so then what happens is, this is what I come across, right? Someone's having trouble dating. They've been rejected a few times on Tinder. Oh, 45% of all women are going to be childless anyways, and they don't want to date. It's like, well, what about the other 55? No, you didn't listen to me. Right? It's like, what it does is it just creates fodder for negativity. And it's like, if you want to believe this, and it's like I said, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but I mean, how does it apply to you? Like these kinds of things. I mean, and the two guys are like, are there women like this? I think this isn't a woman problem. I think it's an agenda from social media. I think it's an agenda that's more about where commercials are and consumerism is, and a lack of morals and stuff. But you know what? I'd rather not get into that. I'd rather more or less get into like one of the biggest questions I have when I do coaching calls, and you're like, all right, you're gonna give it away. No, it's like, what do you want? Number two, it's like, and some people are like, I'd never thought of that. Right. Because you just sit there and you circle around for fucking all this information to sound smart. Well, 45% of women are going to be childless by 2030. What does that have to do with you? Well, they're not dating as much and they're more independent. It's like, what does that have to do with you? Are you saying that you're incapable of finding one in the 55%, if that's your calculus there? Now, I'm going to say, I've had examples. I've had one client she was in Canada. She wouldn't even mind me mentioning this. She had sent in her story a while back. And she was going to get artificially inseminated. Right. She was like 39, 40.
So she was in that upper.
And she was dating at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah.
So her thing was, I want to be honest and upfront.
Right.
She didn't disclose her financials, but she was financially independent. That's what she said. She was happy to raise this kid on her own, but she was dating men. Right. She was getting dates, and she was like, "Look, I'm going to have this kid. It's in the plans." Like,
did you follow up? Did she do it?
She did end up having the kid, but her problem was, she's come into the live streams a few times. Right. But her problem was that the guys would be like, "No, thank you.
Right.
I don't want to be dad to."
Right. Well, I don't even know you yet. Like,
yeah,
I'm dating. Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, this is probably not going to work for 90% of men, but you might be able to find one out there." But it's especially her issue was, the guy's not going to stick around while you're pregnant.
That's hard.
Yeah, she was dating the guy for like 3 to 6 months, something like
Already?
that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the guy was like, well, I don't know if I can do that. Now, I've had other clients dating women that are extremely rich, independent, bossy, don't have kids. They line up with this 45% of women that are going to be childless. They line up with it exactly what they're talking about, example wise.
Career people, like, yeah.
And the guys end up being like, oh, she's kind of bossy. She's kind of like this. They like complain about them. But I don't think the women have a problem with their lives. They're living a life that is important to them. They went the route for money, riches, and all that thing. Now, if they regret that later on, that's kind of on them.
That's up to them. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that go that route. They sacrifice for the purpose or whatever it is, right? So, all right, let's get back into this and see if we can.
That's where we are.
Why do you think this male default has come about? Because it's something that I've noticed as well. The typically masculine traits are the ones that would have been held by men: the conscientiousness, the disagreeability, the casual sex, the ability to move on and not really catch feels and not be emotional, to focus on possessions and drive fast cars. What is it that's causing that to be imbibed by women and also pushed to them by culture?
So actually, women are generally a bit more conscientious than men. But yeah, I agree with you that it's kind of flipping to that default. And I think it is just an organic backlash to kind of what we might describe as the historic oppression of women socioeconomically. It's kind of a leaning into that freedom almost at too fast a pace. It's like one speed go, foot to the floor on girl boss mode. And you have the corporate giants kind of playing into that. And it's just a kind of a situation where for the first time maybe in history, men and women aren't relying on each other as obviously as in the past. That it's kind of more individualistic kind of world now. We're kind of atomized and away from our kin in big cities across the world, which is very evolutionarily novel. I think it's just an.
This is my point too. So you're speaking for all people. This is what gets me. It's like we. It's like, who are you speaking for? And he mentions a couple of times, I think. Whenever you hear I think, it means opinion.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This is not groundbreaking, and opinions based on personal experience. So you're just saying what you know in your little walk of life, but then you get on a platform like this, like Chris Williamson's got a pretty big platform, and people are like, "Whoa, this is official." I think. Whenever you hear I think, it translates to opinion. Opinion translates to biased. Biased is my personal experiences tell me this. Now, some people that are extremely scientific and academic will go into imperial evidence, which is a deeper topic, right? But what happens now is some people will say, "Oh, I have a research study like Morgan Stanley." No one's showing the study. Now, I'm not saying the study's wrong, but it's kind of interesting. They'll go around and they'll go, "Well, I think it's because of this. I think it's because of that." And women, all women, even if the study was done in America, let's just say it was done in America, it's still, is this for New York? Is this for Alabama? Is this for Maine? It's got to be different in different places. It's got to be.
An ordinary, some unexpected backlash to maybe the oppression of the past.
Like the child of the Christian parents that moves out and immediately gets a nose piercing and a bunch of tattoos and swings back the other way. Okay, continuing on with that article, single women without kids had an average of $65,000 in wealth in 2019 compared with $57,000 for single child-free men.
Mm-hmm.
Single women without kids, $65,000, $57,000 for single child-free men. So we already have something there that kind of pushes back against the commonly held worldview. The difference is for single mothers, the figure was only $7,000. Parenthood was losing its appeal even before COVID-19. US birth rates have been falling for the past 30 years. In 1990, there were around 71 births per year for every 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. By 2019, that had dropped to 50.
So now I can't even follow all these stats. Are you following them?
A bit, yeah.
You can pick up everything you just said?
A bit.
What is he saying? What's the point?
So of this whole thing? Or
Yeah, what's the point of all these stats? Women want to have less kids?
Yeah. I think that they're just moving in that direction of, I want to be like a more...
Well, according to these stats, and then finally it came up with U.S., and this is the ironic thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is he British?
I think so.
Look it up real quick, please. Like where he lives?
Chris?
Yeah, Chris Williamson. Like I said, like him, but I'm like, America this, America... Do you even live in America? Like, according to this study, according to that study, people like, okay, so women want to have less kids. Newsflash. Do we need all the stats? I mean, and this is the thing that people get locked up in. They listen to this, and then they are like, oh, yeah, this is why a woman doesn't want to date me. This is why a woman doesn't want to marry me. It's like, dude, where do you live? What do you want? Who are you hanging out with? Who are you filtering for when you date? And if 45% of women will be childless, then 55% won't. Where's he? Does it say where he lives?
UK.
Okay, so and he's talking.
He's from the UK, but
he's from the UK. I don't know if he lives in America or not. I know he comes over and does interviews, and like I said, I like him. But he's like talking about America. You didn't even grow up in America. Well, I know about. No, you don't. I've run into people like this. I live abroad. It's different. I run into people that are Europeans. I'll just say that or something. Oh, America's this, America's that. It's like, what, you watched Cops on TV? I've had people tell me that, like, this and this and this. It's like, oh, this study shows this study. This is what's going on now. And now someone will come to me and be like, well, the reason why, my girlfriend didn't want to stay with me is 45% of women are actually going to be childless by 2030. And then they start just coming up with all these things. And my question is, B, does it help you? Do you think it?
I don't know.
Where does
I don't even know.
Where is this info useful?
Yeah, I don't know. Just trying to get you on a side or something? I don't know.
All right. If you're looking at it like, who would find this information useful and go, yeah? Who would go, 45%? I knew it. Who would find that?
I don't know. Maybe the red pill community or something that would be like using it as evidence to like back their side
or just
up
just any individual that got rejected.
Maybe, yeah.
By a woman that doesn't want to get married or is not being able to date as well.
Yeah, and saying like, oh yeah, this is the way it's going. This is how it's going to end up.
It's kind of funny because, like I said, having a variety of different clients and different levels, and having some guys that have dated women that are highly independent, rich, don't want to have kids. The guys don't tell me like they hate that part of the woman.
That might be why they were drawn to that person.
Yeah, like the part like, dude, she's worth like $5 million, or she's, like. Now, on the outside, someone would be like, oh, you're stupid being with someone like that. It's not your relationship, dude. That's my, like, this is what YouTube's doing now and all the headlines, and that's why I kind of played with the headline today, is these headlines are like, they grab you, and then it's like, so what's the point? What's the use? Like, this wouldn't even be a headline 10 years ago. 45% of women. This is just this huge narrative right now, and it just stacks and it stacks. Now, if someone was like, oh, there's a big problem for population, and you want to tie it into that. But to me, what's happening here is, like, I look at this and I'm like, okay,
how is this useful?
How is this useful in my life, or is this affect me, or how does this line up with me? And if I sit here and spend a lot of time on it, and I'm like, oh, 45% of women are, but like, you could just instantly dig through the layer of fucking wafer thin, surface based information that you're giving here and go, are you talking about all women in the world, or are you talking about women just in America?
Well, what do you think? What do you think the purpose of, like, giving out stats and stuff like this? What is the purpose?
Because stats come off as you're giving facts.
Right, but like, what is the purpose of saying, 45% of women? Like, what do you think their purpose is by pushing this narrative
It's
out
popular right now.
It's just popular.
It's popular right now because there's this big movement, and I've just come across it with the clients that I have. The men are conflicted, and whenever they have a problem in a relationship, and breakups happen, or a woman's not interested,
they're looking for...
They go to stuff like this, and they're like,
right,
see?
Right.
55%. See? And it's like, did you even want to have kids with the girl that broke up with you? No, but see how they're acting? They don't want to get married. It's like, I'm not saying that this isn't true or not true, but like, how is it going to help you? It's actually, what I'm saying is, so let's say you get this in your head, right? You get this in your head and you're like, another reason why it's bad to date right now. And the minute some woman's like, oh, I'm independent, but there's guys that like an independent woman that makes her own money, because guess what? There's this complaint out there, and I get it. Women are gold diggers. They just want you for money. Right? So on the flip side, you got money. You got some woman. I've been out with women before that pay the bill and have a bunch of money. I don't mind. Someone's like, oh, you could never do that. I could do whatever the fuck I want. I don't live by any pill rules.
Right. Right.
Oh, you're going to end up messed up. You're going to... No, that's just what you think. You understand what I'm saying now?
100%.
And the problem is some of these... This is the big issue. Is someone's got such a following that someone goes, oh, yeah, that's true. And it's just an opinion. And then they're not leading the same lifestyle or the same opportunities. They're actually sabotaging relationships
just because they have 500K subscribers. Like, I'm gonna
whatever,
like
a million, like a million, or someone's like, oh shit, man, fucking,
right.
This is gospel. This is 100% factual,
right? And
it's not. It's not that. Even if it was, you still got 55% of the women that want to have kids, and then what does it do for you? It's like I said, it's just an excuse when things go wrong. Instead of when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, all right, so what happened in your breakup? All right, well, what happened I have scenarios where some guy's dating someone and it's like it's starting to go wrong. Let's talk about your situation. But if you go, man, 45% of women right now, they don't even want to have a long-term partner. And so that makes you go, why try? Or that's why this woman doesn't want to be with me. They're all so independent. It's like, what happened in your individual situation, dude? Let's just make it a little smaller.
Instead of going down this rabbit hole of all these, videos and stuff like that, maybe talk to somebody that can unpack your situation.
Look at it like this. It's, if someone goes, oh, how do we stop world hunger? Feed one person. It's like, you're not going to stop world hunger. You think if you have $10 million and you sent out $1 million to the World Hunger Organization, you're going to end up paying for a lot of people that have charity jobs that get salaries. But if you help one person, my point of that is, don't gobble this up. If you're in a state where you're single right now or you're kind of lonely and you read this, does it help you? And you're not. Let's just say your confidence is low with women. Does it help you? No, you're going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, this is a real problem. And my point is, some guys will go, yeah, no, but it's true, man. It's true. How true is it? This isn't the demographic of the world. How true is it? Is it true of India? Well, I don't live in India. Well, I'm just saying, like, it got your attention because it's all women. It's a little bit deeper than that. All right, we got 4 on deck. I don't even know if I can finish this with all the it's got 4 minutes. And according to this stat, let's see if I'll try to watch it a little bit more. Tell me if this is a little dry. Nice to see you, Rye.
So from 71 to 58, which is a pretty big drop. Some women opting not to have kids are enjoying an enviable degree of financial freedom. She's got all of her different houses. The childless life does have its drawbacks. People who are single and child-free pay more in taxes. And housing is a lot harder to afford on one income than two, especially with home prices and rents at record high and mortgage rates on the rise. So that's the problem that Bloomberg can find with potentially going to your grave with no one else that's part of your genetic kin there to see you, is the fact that you're going to pay more in taxes and housing is more difficult to afford.
Yeah, it's very corporate kind of language, isn't it? That the main concern would be, how do we get around that one stumbling block of the taxes? But I was glad that she did at least highlight the idea of buying a house on a single income, because that's something I always highlight for incels, that's a double whammy kind of circular punishment. It's hard to get a house if you're a single man on one income, and a lot of incels are on lower income or no income at all. You almost need to be part of a dual earning household to get a mortgage. So without the house, you can't get the girlfriend. Without the girlfriend, you can't get the house. So it feels like a little bit of a circular punishment for incels there.
What's an incel again?
So I think it's just somebody that is just out in the market, but just can't get women. That's my limited.
This is such horseshit, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is like, it's like, yeah, he's just creating one scenario that's true. Are you less likely to be able to afford your own house and get your own mortgage? Some people, some women. Do you know what I mean? It's like, is there people out there that have other scenarios? There's people out there that have gotten inheritance. There's people out there that in 2 or 3 years, they're like, I'm not making shit right now, but I'm gonna hit. There's a lot of jobs where like 2 or 3 years, I'm gonna hit my stride and I'll be making 100K. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all circumstantial, man. It's like creating these scenarios. Like, well, yeah, I mean, you need a woman to get a house with. No, you don't. Does it make it easier? I don't know. So well, then here's the other, if you want to downside it, right? So you get married so you can afford a house, but then you get divorced and you got to split it. And what do you end up with? Nothing.
Yeah.
How does that win?
So they say an incel is a member of an online community with young men who consider themselves unable to attract women sexually.
Wow.
So it's an online thing, apparently.
I thought it was something like that. And this is the funny thing about having a YouTube channel. People will be like, you didn't know that?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a pretty,
I've heard it, but I'm one of those. I want to know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
I want to know exactly what it means. I didn't know what it meant, so I don't like to be like, oh, I think it means this.
It's just a community of online guys that can't attract women.
So you want to know what's up? That's who this video's for.
Right. There you go.
Nailed it.
I think this guy.
No pun intended.
I think this guy has like I think his special, his speciality is incels. If I'm not mistaken.
The guy that they're talking to.
Because I saw something else like recently about him talking about Jordan Peterson about incels and stuff. So he's been doing it. He's been talking about it a lot. Is what I'm saying.
Then the thing is, in the name of what? Supporting them or just giving them supporting information?
I don't know who this guy is, but I have no idea.
Here's my take if you want it, since it's my channel, so I can say whatever I want. But if some guy's an incel and they want to be that way, that's fine. It's not because 45% of women want to be childless. It's because they got some kind of limited belief. Something happened when they were young. They might have been molested. That's an extreme example.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's they had a bad situation with their first breakup. There's all kinds of reasons outside of, but if they grab onto this 45% of women,
that's just gonna put them down.
It's not gonna help them.
It's gonna put them down a path that's not.
If they feel like they don't like being an incel, but if they're a part of a group where it's like, hey man, high fives, we're all incels. Well then there you go, man. There's the Hell's Angel. They're a biker gang. There's. Do you know what I mean? I've talked about this before. Yeah. I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Warriors fan. I'm a part of that group. So if I see someone with Warriors shirt on, I'm like, hey man, right on. What's up?
But if they're gonna be preaching like it's good to be an incel in that community, do you think that's a great thing? If I'm just looking on the outside, I don't think that's a great thing. Here's
my point. Good for you.
Okay.
Now, if you came to me and you're like, hey man, I want to stop this. I want to make a difference. It's like, all right, let's have a talk. Let's get into like. You're gonna have to get into your life and fucking gut that motherfucker. You're gonna have to open up and not what you're not realizing, right? And this is what I've realized in my own little journey as a coach and as a hypnotherapist now is like we're gonna have to get way deeper. It's not what other people are doing in the world or studies or research that's affecting your outcome and your results, right? Now, it's like just a few days ago, it's like, oh, if you're ugly, you can't date, right? This is a headline I had on one of the videos, or like a clickbait because I got it from somewhere else.
Wheat waffles?
Yeah, I didn't use it as clickbait. I just was like, really? People say this, right? Now, is there some truth to it? Yes, if you're less attractive.
It's going to be harder, yes.
Right. Can you maximize your looks if you made that your focus? I know people that do it.
Of course, yes, you can.
Right? The funny thing is he was making suggestions on cosmetic surgery. That's something that's lost in Hollywood. A lot of these people are cosmetically put together. I don't mind. I'm not one of those like, oh, this is ridiculous or fake. No, but it is what it is, right? A lot of people aren't going to spend 20 grand on their teeth and their face and all this other shit. But it's why when they're, Lionel Richie's 70 something years old and he looks the same, right? And good for him. Good. But that's my point. Individually based, what happens is these guys just get ammunition to continue to be that way. And if they want to be that way, it's fine. But what they don't realize is they're in the jail cell with the key.
I like that. That's good.
That's what it is. I just talked to someone today. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. It's like, no, you don't know. It's like, if you're not happy with your results, you can make some changes. It's not going to happen in a day. But if you swallow up this content, you're just going, yeah, that's why. Yeah, I'm not doing well with women because 45% don't want to have kids anyways by 2030. It's like, think about like the logistics of that. It's 2022, correct? So an 8-year forecast, how accurate are those? Is it possible some things could shake up that projection?
It's possible.
No way, man. Not in 8 years. Not for Morgan Stanley, man. No way, man. Come on.
It's gospel.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, that's you can hear the corporate language dripping in that account.
It really does rile me up, man. The fact that women who choose to be mothers are being seen as second-class rubes that have been, I don't know, gazumped into taking a role that was just some ancestral old version of what womanhood was supposed to be. You can go out and be a boss bitch. You can get over your last boyfriend by getting under your next one. Like, all of this sort of rhetoric to me doesn't sound massively empowering. Louise Perry's book, Case Against the Sexual Revolution, is phenomenal at this. Like, loveless sex is not empowering, and teaching women that they should be able to try and compete with men on having loveless sex. Only one gender is going to win that, right? It's not going to be the women. Men are going to continue to run through girls when they can and leave them behind. And I don't know, I just feel like there needs to be the pushback or the swing back against past disadvantages that women have had is not making women's lives any better. I think that you can comfortably say that enabling women to earn more in the workplace was fantastic. The vote, the pill, the washing machine, all of this stuff, like things that genuinely liberated women from the previous constraints that they had, were worthy. I struggle to see how encouraging women to see the new pair of Gucci shoes that they've got, that they buy from a job that they hate to impress people that they don't like, as being the highest point of contribution of their life, and that the mothers are somehow second-class citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a point of view, but it's not an absolute of all women.
No, but he's going on the opposite side too. He's saying that like motherhood is actually like incredibly important, obviously.
I'm saying, but he's like, I just feel like that's personal.
Right.
That tells me that, to be honest with you, if I'm going to put on my psychology cap here, that something happened to him. He had a breakup from a girl that was extremely independent, that was a little pretentious. If I had to guess, if I got to interview him, this is why people take this stuff on. It's like, why is Chris Williamson doing a lot of this content recently? I'd guess, right? And then he's speaking for all women, because that's an example. That's an example. It's true. There are women out there, well, you care about your Gucci. He's giving an example, but it doesn't necessarily make it true for all women.
Right.
And you're not going to combat the fact that some women are more pretentious or materialistic. Now, whose fault is that? The women or the programming? It's a good question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Because they're not going to watch this kind of video and change. That doesn't come from just bad people. That's, if you want to fix some of that stuff, then you have to go into the programming and go like, where is this being learned? Music, movies. But
I get what he's saying. You know, like there's a big focus on, you know, shifting the woman's, you know, attitude towards, you know, working and
but,
you know, being more like, you know, the CEO type of a company type of thing.
Okay, so this is my point. You're looking at the forest to see the trees, or you're looking at the trees to see the forest. The problem is you're just looking at the forest over and over again. And when you look at the forest, you forget that there's trees. There's individual trees. That's the problem. So when you get this kind of stuff up, I'm not saying it's not true. And I agree. I don't like women like that. They you know, like a woman that's into Gucci loafers, that's just, right? Like, whatever that means. My point is, if you focus on this and you say it's true, and you're like, oh, this is what guys are coming, yeah, it's true. And then you're going to sabotage meeting a good woman, because you're going to be like, oh my God, she's got an LV bag. She must be one of those. It's like,
well, maybe she just likes the bag or whatever, yeah.
So my point is, focus on your individual situation and stop trying to fit into a box. That's the whole point, is what I'm saying. Because some guys, here's the crazy one. I've met women that are like this. I've met guys that are like this, that want a woman that wears Gucci loafers and has her money right and all those other things, and they take 100 pictures for fucking Instagram. And you know what? And then you sit on the sidelines and go, oh my God, why are they? You know what I've developed in my life? Good for you. Outstanding, man. Just leave me alone. Don't ask me.
It might not be my like cup of tea or whatever, but good for you.
I mean, there's a lot more detrimental things going on. Like, I don't know. massive drug addicts around America. That doesn't get talked about nearly as much. You know what I mean? Like painkiller.
Weirdly, it does not get. I mean, I wonder why? Jeez.
Like,
yeah.
How many people are hooked on painkillers?
Could it be that
in America,
70% of the ads in America are run by pharmaceuticals? Could it be that? Maybe, I don't know.
So this is like the big topic. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that to to get really on deck with this, it's not going to help men find better women.
Right.
It's going to help men find better evidence of something like this being true. Mm-hmm. That's all my point is. Right. So like if they come across this and they start going, oh yeah, it's true, then they're going to make it true. Mm-hmm. That's my whole point of this. All right, I got getting water there. Excuse me. We do have one story on deck here. Let's see how much. Lost my spot here. Yep, there it goes. Did you hear that? I don't know what this is. We're going to close it out now, folks. It's been a good broadcast. It's current.